Three, two, one, let's go! You can get involved. Let's
get it, bro.
Hop in, man.
Dylan Danos, welcome to the PBE podcast, man. This is Skips, the legendary Skips, as we call him, as he's finishing up his master's. You're a young professional. How did he get into it, man? You're doing mudlogging for Toledo. Out of where?
Well,
out of Midland, yeah.
I'm in Midland. I was actually born into it. I'm fourth generation oil field.
Dang,
you
dude.
know, and,
what'd your old man do?
He owns Toledo Mudlogging. They started back in 2002. I was 8. And I've been in the business ever since, I guess.
No shit. Okay, so you're out there catching samples, you're running business.
That's what I was doing. I was actually catching samples and bartending my way through college.
Yeah, man.
And then I got the sales gig about 2.5 years. I've worked every division of it, really.
Yeah.
You know, I really miss the welding and fab side, you know.
I bet.
I used to have a big wildlings beard. But no, it's a fun gig, sweet gig, actually.
Yeah. Do you know much about the PBE, man? Have you heard of it? Listened to these shows or anything?
I haven't.
Come on,
man. I know. I've seen it on LinkedIn,
yeah.
But, you know, I haven't really had time.
Come on. All right, what do you, from your perspective of the mudlogging side, dude, what's going on with the operators, man? The big operators that are doing these horizontal wells. These what's happening in the business of mudlogging? Is it going up, down? Is it more important, less important? What are we doing in general?
Well, I guess that opinion really varies from operator to operator, you know, and we're seeing a lot of more technology such as Mass Spec coming in.
Yeah.
I really think that's where the future's heading for mudlogging, is mudlogging with Mass Spec.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, the whole Mass Spec thing.
The whole mudlogging has just been a real big seesaw. You know, it's going up, going down.
Yeah.
And some people favor it more, and some people don't. You know?
No, that's interesting, man. And how many basins have you worked? Just most of the Permian?
We've worked, coast to coast mudlogging. We've been in the Powder, the URTeC.
And your dad's dad and your dad's dad, they were all
No, my great grandfather was actually a derrick man on a rig that disappeared in South Louisiana. They drilled into a salt dome, and the whole rig just disappeared.
Whoa.
You know, sunk in.
What?
Absolutely. Wooden derricks. You got to think about.
I'm hoping your great grandfather wasn't on that rig when
Absolutely,
it
man. This was the 30s.
What?
You know,
so what happened?
Oh, you know, just I guess the time of it. I know my great grandmother used to speak about it. You know, those old air engines on location. And
what?
Absolutely.
So how many crazy things have happened in your bouts with mudlogging and stuff? Crazy events?
Craziest thing was probably when I was working offshore.
Okay.
I actually worked offshore on some skid units out of Beers, Venice, Louisiana. And we went from 15 units of gas to 1,500. Rig took a kick, off-leveled. You know, they spent 4 days.
What'd that feel like, dude?
That's one hell of a roller coaster,
absolutely,
man.
just sitting, I guess, just sitting on, you know, that amount of pressure coming up on it, you know, and it just took the rig and just...
Did you get thrown across, like, the room?
No. They did smack us in the mudlogging shack with the directional tool, though. So they, you know.
Oh, shit, man.
Absolutely.
Wow,
but,
dude. And they weren't expecting it. There was no...
No, they weren't. They weren't. I actually looked at an E-log and looked at a rat sand that was coming up and called the driller, called the company man, and at least one of them listened to me.
Sheesh, dude. So you were the first one to see something come
Absolutely.
out of this thing. Yeah, that's right. Gosh. You're fighting at the front lines of the bit, man. The mudloggers, man, there's such an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Certainly when you're a geoscientist, geologist, and you're really trying to figure out this lithology and this basin deposit, right? And you could be working wells. We got all kinds of friends that are mudloggers, man, and there's so much complexity amongst them that it's just insane.
It takes a certain type of person that's going to go there from, you know, the beginning and stay on that location till the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, and do it right. I mean, that's another thing. You know, those are long-ass hours that you guys are working, catching samples and just...
Right.
Especially right now when people are just blowing and going, right? They're just trying to get to TD as fast as possible so they can get the frac.
Absolutely. Catching 30-footers, doing 520 foot an hour, just getting it.
520 an hour.
Get your step meter on, man. Get
Absolutely.
A couple miles
I guess that's the reason I could actually
shaker.
fit in 36s instead of 38s these days, you know. We're doing mudlogging, Mass Spec, and geosteering.
Okay.
And, you know, the geosteering's a lot of really what they want, but the Mass Spec is just such a new concept.
Yeah.
Well, not new, But it's not a magic box that just prints out a bunch of data. You get you're getting it's like a mudlog on steroids.
Yeah. What's like the average sample catch of horizontal wells? 30 foot?
Depends from geologist to geologist. If you're going in a sweet section that they really want, they'll go 5 footers, 10 footers.
Yeah.
And then, but primarily 30 footers.
Yeah. Dude, I got to work with Geolog, obviously a competitor, I'm sure. But anyway, we were collecting samples, and they were doing XRF gamma ray. And that was pretty powerful, man, because, the physics of the samples coming up that wellbore, certainly when we get into the horizontal, get really, really tricky, And then, so we had this XRF gamma ray, and we knew exactly where the cuttings were coming from, man. And when I saw that, and then we also do a lot of geochem and stuff like that, and you're on depth. I mean, you can match that. You got a good enough sample rate to match that MWD, and so getting those samples on depth with confidence, and now running, all the stuff that we can run on rock data, which is where the oil is coming from, right?
Absolutely.
Let's work with that more so than stuff that's measuring it, and then we're working with derivative products with both geophysics and petrophysics. Those are second-hand products. The real ground truth product is the rock. So if you are working with operators that don't collect rock when they're drilling horizontal wells, or they don't care for it very much, I would just I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know what to say. Yeah,
what I'll say
all
is
that
that
data is gone.
All the data is gone.
All that data is gone.
You could
don't get that back.
You could spend 20 to 30 grand and get you a good mudlog, or you could spend 300 grand getting unstuck and re-drilling it. They just
more than that too.
Absolutely,
more than that.
Rig starts kicking up. Oh man, wish someone would have warned us about that.
Yeah. All right, dude. So you're a local Midlander. What is it, man? When you're in Midland, what do you do for fun? What's going on in this city? Are you involved in the societies at all?
Absolutely. I'm very involved with West Texas Geological Society. This will be the 3rd year I'm cooking for their clay shoot. I know that's a real big fun event.
Yeah, it is, man. They team up with the PBGS, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jake's Clays this year.
Yeah,
last year was at Jake's, too.
Yes, sir. And Midland, I mean, I've been in Midland 2 years, and at first it was a culture shock moving from South Louisiana. You're going from straight water to, you're going to the desert. And
driest place in the U.S.
Absolutely, but I can tell you what, my golf game's never been better.
Hey, there you go. That's one thing for sure. That's going to happen in Midland. But what about things around town, dude? I mean, what do? You go to the bars? What's your favorite spots in Midland just to kick back, have a good time on the weekends?
All-time favorite is The Bar,
yeah, that's classic.
The staple.
Dude,
Absolutely.
Downtown's picking up.
It is.
Downtown's picking up. Now, I still do not have a definitive answer for what is that balcony thing that's sitting next to Doubletree. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Dude, all right, so if you're looking at the doors of Doubletree, if you look to your right now, there's like on the 2nd or 3rd level, downtown Midland, is this big open patio with like cornhole and all kinds of games. Everyone's drinking out on this patio. What is that?
I guess I got to figure it out when I
Come
get back
on,
in town.
man.
I'll be the first one to go knock on the door.
That's going to be something fun. Dude, that downtown energy center or whatever they're calling it, that thing that's going to be built, there's going to be bars down there, shopping and everything at the bottom, and then like living corridors or whatever above. Midland is definitely putting in a lot of money into that downtown.
Absolutely, and just the development. I've seen these, these subdivisions that are coming up, and I mean they're knocking out 20 houses a week. It seems.
No, that's actually pretty wild to think about. For sure.
Yeah, and well, I mean even in downtown they're clearing out all the old buildings, and now they're, more or less the ground up. All those old
that's really
decrepit
what they're doing.
buildings that have just basically fallen apart.
And some of them have like asbestos or whatever, so they're like, we're not sure when we're going to tear this one down.
We'll put like a good 5-mile radius around this. It's a weekend project.
Yeah, if it hits $27 oil, they could do it then probably. There'd be nobody in downtown. You're in Midland, you're mudlogging. It's very interesting, man. You're active in the societies, which is huge, and the societies for sure cannot thank you enough for taking that time and that effort to support that, because it is all nonprofit, man. They're all kind of similar folks. We're just geoscientists figuring it out. We congregate, we share ideas. It's the point. It's what we're supposed to do.
It's supposed to be a community. That's what it's supposed to be.
If that dies, we're in bad trouble, right?
No doubt.
And so all the geoscientists that we're trying to get more engineers, more everybody to get to every one of these talks. Let's integrate. And you're the backbone of that, dude. You and your company, man, working as hard as you do for mudlogging and for those service side, and then supporting the service. I mean the societies, dude. It's absolutely huge, man.
Lights out,
it's awesome, man. I thank you for that, dude.
And I could recommend. Thank y'all for having me on the show.
Come on,
and
Dylan.
if you're ever out in Midland, you got to get involved and get it done.
All right, man. Hell yeah. We out.
Yeah.